times a year. 4 times 12. Times 8.
Yep.
What is that? It's 2,304 times.
No way.
Oh wait. 4 times 12.
Hello, everyone,
Hello.
and hello to you out in internet land. Hopefully you can see me. And so, if you don't, then you don't hear me anyway, right? So, I'm Doug Wilkerson. This is Saturday Night Live Life Recovery. This is where we get a chance to work on the areas of our life that need some recovery, and normally most of us have more than one. Isn't that true?
True.
And so, because life is messy, and we're interested in helping you and helping each other, and you helping me to recover. And recovery is a transformational process that's on the inside of us. And anyway, that's what Saturday night's here to do, is to recover together, because the truth is, and I didn't believe this in the very beginning, because basically, like everyone else, I wanted to do it on my own, by myself. But the truth of it is, we have to be together. We have to do it to be effective in our recovery. So tonight, and I'm having a little bit of eye problem, so hopefully I'm able to get this. So tonight, our topic is still step 8. Step 8 is, we made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Our topic out of the Life Recovery Bible is reaping goodness, out of Galatians. It's referencing out of the Bible on this topic, out of Galatians 6, verse 7 through 10. So tonight, before I get into the full definition, what does reaping mean? It's not on your paperwork, but what does reaping mean? Anybody have a
Planting?
planting?
It's like sowing.
Well,
No?
sowing.
Oh, reaping is gathering.
Gathering, yes, it would be gathering up what you have sown.
Yeah.
Yes. Look out! She is here, tattoo and all.
Tattoo and all.
I'm glad you made it.
Thanks.
And so anyway, we're just going over some of the definitions. So reaping. So we're talking about gathering something. So what are we going to gather? And it says goodness. So what's goodness?
What's goodness?
Yeah. It's not on the paper there.
It's goodness is a Google.
You can. I don't care.
Goodness is receiving things for doing the right thing, maybe.
Goodness is receiving. Well, that you're putting reaping and getting together.
Positive.
What?
It's a
Goodness.
positive outcome.
Well, hey, we'll break it down. What's good?
The
Definition.
quality of being morally good, kind, and honest.
Is that good? Is that the definition of good?
It refers to the healthy and nourishing part of food, or acts as a mild
Okay.
exclamation of surprise, like, oh my goodness.
Something that's beneficial.
Beneficial. Or sometimes we have better understanding about defining something from the negative, and that means it's not bad. How about that?
Webster probably would have defined it that way.
So our topic tonight is reaping goodness. And what does that mean? Reaping goodness. Yes, we do have paperwork on that, on the paper that's back. Did you get paper? Yes, you did. Okay. Go ahead, Tommy.
Reaping goodness means intentionally living in a way that produces good fruit in our lives and in the lives of others.
You got any thoughts on that before you go further?
Um,
What does intentionally mean?
Willingly to intentionally means I meant it
On purpose.
on purpose.
Okay, yes. All right. Any other thoughts?
Doing the right thing because you care.
Okay, that's good.
And right- yeah.
Robert?
Reaping, like Tommy mentioned earlier, it kind of is related to sowing, because when you sow is when you plant. When you reap, you gather the results of that planting.
Right.
So when we reap goodness, we probably had to sow goodness to start with.
That's good. That's putting it together. Good. Anybody else? Go ahead with that, Tommy, if you don't mind.
Paul says, "You will always harvest what you plant." Galatians 6:7 NLT.
No, that's just basically what Robert was talking about there, right?
Yes.
You harvest what you plant. Reaping is harvest.
Yeah.
So we're gathering some things that we planted, and right now we're talking about good things,
Yes.
right? Goodness. Go ahead.
The principle is simple. What I plant, what I eventually harvest.
Okay.
I
Wait,
continue.
wait.
Oh,
I don't like to go through this fast because
yeah.
I want everybody to, I want us to think together. Yes, ma'am.
I think that the intentionally living, like, you have to be aware of your actual, like, inner intention too. Because, and I say this because, I like to be a little bit argumentative, is with codependency, if you're on that spectrum of it, you think you're doing a bunch of good stuff, but what's the actual intention? You might be doing good stuff for the sake of control. You might be pleasing on the outside, people pleasing and stuff, but the inside you're still kind of rotten, or there's a dual motive, so I think your intention has to be like maybe a little bit more altruistic, or
Yes. Instead of
Or-
about yourself, it's about somebody else.
yeah.
Could a lot of that could be, yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Tommy,
Yes.
we were working on this last statement. See if I can find it with one eye.
What I plant, what I eventually harvest.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about this. You have a choice what you plant. Is that true? Everybody has a chance. So if you're always reaping bad stuff, I wonder what that means. Say it loud, a little louder.
If you're always sowing bad stuff, you'll continue to reap bad stuff.
Okay, so if we're reaping bad stuff, then it's a good high probability what you're sowing is bad stuff.
So you can look at like law of attraction too, to kind of measure if there's something internally out of alignment, because you attract that which you seek, right? So if you're seeking good things, but if you have a dual motive and it's not a good thing, you're going to continue to do bad things. This is one of the things that helped me wake up, is like, why do bad things, that question, why do bad things always happen to good people? Well, maybe you're not as good as what you think, and you have those double standards going on. And so,
And those are things we ought to take a look at.
yes.
Because sometimes, and we've talked about this before, we like to fool ourselves. Another way of saying it, we like to lie to ourselves and everybody else. Is that true? Is that true? Okay, all right, just checking. And if you're lying to yourself, I wonder what that means. Say it again. Deception. You're being deceived, right? And you're being deceived, or you're deceiving yourself, right? Okay, Tommy, won't you continue with that, please?
If I continually plant anger, dishonesty, selfishness, resentment, or irresponsibility, I should not be surprised when those things produce broken relationships and painful consequences.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just living in the same old stinking thinking, bad behaviors, and expecting things to shift in my favor, and they don't.
So those things that I've got emboldened and capitalized, why don't you just read that sentence again, but slow down on those items.
Okay. Anger, dishonesty, selfishness, resentment, and irresponsibility.
Now, those are areas of these planning things that are going to reap painful consequences, right? Because didn't we talk about consequences last week? Yeah, we talked about forgiveness. You remember that? We talked about forgiveness. The last 2 weeks we talked about forgiveness, and you are forgiven, but that doesn't remove all the consequences. I wonder why that happens that way. You got any thoughts?
It's planting the seed.
Okay, good.
You put that out there, so it's gonna come back.
Good. Robert?
I was gonna say, the Bible says we're gonna reap what we plant.
Right?
So even if we're ready to plant something different, we still gotta reap what we planted before,
There you go.
and it's gonna hurt, but that's the way it is.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
That cause and effect.
Yes. And so I'm just, is this helping any? Does this bring any clarity?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want. I want to assist in you having more clarity. Okay. As you can get a clearer picture of things, it helps you to navigate through this life. Okay, making healthy choices. Okay, go ahead, Tommy. We're going to go on the positive side now, I think.
But when I begin planting honesty, humility, forgiveness, responsibility, kindness, obedience, and love, I begin creating the conditions for a different harvest.
I begin creating the conditions for a different harvest. Okay, so we're going to we're going to harvest what we plant.
A new season.
Yeah. Now that doesn't mean there won't be some bad stuff come up out there. Some weeds pop up from the past, or from the wind, or from the neighbor, or from who knows where, right? Because it can happen. But overall, we can have our crop can become healthier or better, or in the area of goodness. Okay, instead of all bad, mostly good.
And sometimes, crap happens and it's not personal.
And that's true. And that's what I'm saying is, could be the wind, it could be the neighbor, it could be who knows what, It could be who knows. And so, but we can only control what we have control over. Somebody said something. Yes, sir.
So it could be the soil. Maybe we're planting at the wrong place.
That could be. May need a little fertilizer.
Maybe we full of too much fertilizer.
It could be too much. I mean, sometimes raw fertilizer burns stuff up, plants and stuff. So, there's, so again, as we recover and we go into recovery and we have more recovery, we have to learn all this new technique, of living a healthy, unrevengeful, wholesome, kinder life, which it does take practice, right? Right? Any other comments? Any other thoughts? Okay. How does our topic connect with step 8? We've been talking about step 8 for several weeks now.
Well, I was just thinking about, you can look at honesty, humility, forgiveness, responsibility, kindness, obedience, and love all as like their own individual tools. So we're going to keep it with gardening, right? Like,
Yeah, good.
so one is, oh, what's the little 3-pronged fork thingy? And then you got a hoe, and then you got a shovel. Like, and once you start using those to dig out the other stuff, and I say that because, like, you know, I ran around in anger so much, but then, you know, whenever I hit rock bottom, that was humility. You know, I had to become more humble, and the forgiveness was really what set me free. And so that
Yeah.
kind of like once I got the right tool going on, forgiveness could be a multi-tool, whatever. Then all of that other stuff, there really wasn't any room left for that other stuff. So you can
Good.
look at them as like they are maybe their own individual seeds, but they're also the tools that you need to dig out the other junk.
Good. I like it. Robert, he's going to say something?
I may be getting ahead, but I think it's really important here that step 8 is really making us look at ourselves instead of being selfish. We may have thought in the past, well, who hurt me? You did this to me. But this is forcing us to say, who did I hurt? And that is the beginning of, in my mind, planting good stuff rather than bad things.
And that's step 8.
Yeah.
In fact, that's almost word for word with this on the paper, though. So good. That's good, and that's true. And step 8 is, as I've already read, now remember, step 8 is about getting ready for step 9. Step 9 is where we're making amends. Step 8 is getting ready, preparing ourselves, softening our heart, making our list, getting us ready to move into step number 9. So step 8 is we made a list of all persons we've harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Now, we're not making amends here. We're just trying to get ready. And that's what we're talking about here. And we're talking about reaping goodness, getting our mindset, our behaviors, getting our tools lined out. I like that terminology there, Vanessa. Getting our tools lined out instead of using guns and atom bombs. We're using other stuff that's more wholesome and constructive. Yes. So that's good. So and then our scripture here out of Galatians 6, 7 through 10, then shows us that our choices produce consequences. I thought that was a really significant statement. Our choices produce consequences. We're not saying what kind of consequences. We're just saying they produce consequences. Now you decide what kind of consequences because you decide what kind of choices, right? And our prayer is, God, help me to make healthy choices in line with the truth, in line with your will. Okay.
I do feel like, because I've witnessed a lot too, like if you're using these other things as tools, like that some of those consequences that we think or we expect to have, those can and have, I have seen, can miraculously go away. Like I've seen people who have like 7 felonies, you know, all get, you know, 3 of them get dropped and a couple of them are just misdemeanors now. And so they're not having to sit these years in prison that they would have had to sit, you know, like, so we talk about consequences. God can take some of those away, you know, and
Sure.
with your relationship and how much of this other deep stuff you're willing to do and what tool you're using and you know some of those consequences because like honestly a lot of us most of us in here we've heard a lot of people we should probably have years of consequences ahead of us but God
Yes.
he can erase those consequences
Yes.
just as he has forgiven you. He can
Yes.
erase a lot of those consequences and miraculously heal those relationships that we broke as if, you know, like they weren't broken.
And that's what this making amends process, getting ready in step 8 and moving into step 9, that's trying to rectify or redeem our that time, those things, and we do it for ourselves, and then hopefully other people are able to participate in that process and are willing to do that. And we can't make anybody forgive us, but we can position ourselves and go through the process of working through that stuff and making amends, whether you make direct amends or indirect amends, to make that transformation inside. You talked about felonies. I remember a young lady I worked with that before she got tangled up in the drugs and everything, she had almost completed her college education in a particular area, but she says, "What do? I mean, I'm clean now. I'm got my life regulated." She didn't use that term, but basically that's what she meant. But I got this felony. I can't do what I wanted to do in the very beginning. I said, "Well, why don't you go ahead and take care of your business here and get that stuff done? Go ahead and show that you are working in school again, taking care of that." And I said, "And maybe something can happen to those felonies." And by the way, it took it took like 2 or 3 years, maybe a little bit more. Those felonies got expunged. And that profession that she said she'd never be able to do, she's doing. Has been doing it for, I don't know, time slips, but 10, 15 years, something like that. Probably not 15, but anyway, it can happen. It can happen. Yeah, I can't guarantee those things, but I can say I've seen it happen, right? So we produce those. We get to produce our consequences. Now we don't think of goodness as a consequence, but it is. What do you think about that?
It's an outcome.
Do what?
It's an outcome.
It's an outcome. Okay, good. I'm trying to help you get clarity. Okay, all right. And so if we according to what Galatians 6:7 through 10, chapter 6, verse 7 through 10, that we produce these consequences in our life, and they will that we can begin planting a different kind of seed. And that's what we're talking about. We're planting a different kind of seed. Okay, so, and Tommy, that very last, I think it would be really good for you all to look at towards the end of page number 2, which is the backside. And I'm not going to go over this all, but there's one of our questions that Brandon will be talking about how habit correlates with addiction, and I've got some information there. But won't you read that very last statement that we were talking about earlier?
Recovery means learning and repeatedly practicing new, healthy patterns until they begin to replace the old ones.
That's recovery. That's what recovery means.
Then it becomes discovery.
Right.
Discover all these new things.
Yes, yeah. Or we can say transformation.
Transformation, yeah.
And that's what we're not talking about just having sobriety, which sobriety is not bad. Okay, and that's not bad. But the transformation, recovery, discovery, that's the real thing. And when you have that, then you have the sobriety. You know, it shows up in your life and around you. People see it. They know it. Yes? Comments? Questions? Thoughts? Okay. Let's go forward, and Laura, you're reading the steps? Is there anyone here that would need a bracelet tonight? Okay, all right. Would you want to do?
I can. Step 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our problems and that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, we made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God. Step 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Step 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked God to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And again, step 8, where we are tonight, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. And here at Saturday Night Live, we like to acknowledge clean time with colorful bracelets. This clean time isn't just for drugs and alcohol, but for whatever keeps you in bondage. Drugs, alcohol, anger, gambling, food addiction, lying, cheating, stealing, pornography, sex addiction, cutting, you fill in the blanks. We have white bracelets just for today or less than 30 days. Anybody need one of those today? White bracelet. Orange for 30 days. Green for 60 days. Stop me if I hit ya. Maroon for 90 days. Blue for 6 months. Yellow for 9 months. Glow in the dark for 1 year. Anybody? All right. Gray for 18 months. Black for 2 years or more. Silver for 5 years.
Wait, we've got
Oh, black?
2 years.
2 years?
How much to get? 2021 should be 5 years ago.
5 years? That's a sober.
So,
Good job. Congratulations, and gold for 10 years or more. Tommy,
Thank you.
hello, everybody.
Hello.
Reaping goodness. We made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all.
First question,
First question.
are you ready?
Yeah.
What unhealthy attitude or behavior am I reluctant to let God remove, and why?
My stubbornness. My want to do it my way.
Okay, and the why?
Because it's just something that's always, it's like a habit. And I'm trying to break it.
Okay,
I'm working on it. Being stubborn.
okay, all right. And why did you choose this topic tonight?
Because I felt it fit my life and what I'm going through right now. You know, the stuff that's taking place in my life. I was like, well, it kind of fits, you know.
Okay, good deal.
While in recovery, we learn to accept responsibility for our actions, even when we are powerless over our addiction.
What does that mean to you?
Well, it's the past is still a part of our life because we're barely just getting out of it. Is what I'm kind of thinking. I'm new, you know, to recovery, and it's the past is still sticking to me because I'm still kind of walking in some of the same areas until I learn new ones.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, Robert.
I think before we start on the road to recovery, we don't like to accept responsibility. We're very quick to blame some other circumstance or person or situation in our life that is making us do the thing that we have consequences over. When the consequences come, we don't like to accept them because we don't think it's our fault. We think it's somebody else's fault or some situation we did not have control over. And so I think that's a big, big, big step, is when we finally realize those consequences are because of what we did.
Stop blaming others.
That's a
yeah.
big step in getting on the road to recovery.
Yes. So, in a lot of cases, it's because of the seeds we've been planting. But what if it really wasn't my fault, and so I just got mad and acted out?
It was still your fault.
It was
mad.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was our response. Our response to whatever happened may have not been my fault, but what I did was my fault, right? And so, and my response is bad. Does that make the situation better or worse?
Worse. Usually.
I got the answer, but it seemed kind of weak.
It could potentially, we'll say potentially.
Oh, okay.
It grows.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, we come to realize that all our actions yield consequences.
Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Well, I didn't quite know that in the beginning, but now today, where I'm at, I realize that I had to go through some stuff to get, you know, to where I didn't make those choices to have to go through that stuff no more.
I think we need to read that part of that sentence over again, that sentence.
Okay, we came to realize
We came to realize,
that
we come to realize.
we come to realize that all our actions yield consequences.
And that's,
You reap what you sow.
you know, whether it's good or it's bad, we get it, right?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Some of us may have fooled ourselves into thinking we could escape the consequences of the things we did. But with time, it has become clear that God has made accountability a necessary element of healthy living. Owning up to my stuff. You know, taking responsibility for my actions and starting to get better priorities.
So when you said owning up to your stuff and taking responsibility, you know, that's really what a lot of recovery is about. And like you said, Robert, is that we're going ahead and taking responsibility for what happened. Yeah. You know, how many times have you heard me say, I didn't do it, but I'm responsible? In other words, I take the responsibility even though I didn't do it. I'm responsible for what happened. And it's really hard for us to wrap our mind around that I'm responsible, whatever happens to me in some way or another, I'm responsible. I have to take responsibility for it, because if not, then what am I doing? I'm just being a victim. And then I'm being pushed around by it. But if I take responsibility with it, that means I step into it and I start to try to find a way to deal with it. What do you think? Too much? Okay, go ahead.
Galatians 6, 7, and 8 says,
Hang on a second. Do you have that scripture, the first part of that scripture, even though it's not in our paperwork?
the first part?
Yeah.
7 through 10?
Yeah, first part 7. First part of 7 says that God is not mocked. It's not
Oh,
in
here, yeah, I can open it up right here. Let's see. Do not be misled. You cannot mock the justice of God.
Do not be misled.
Yeah, do not be misled. You cannot mock the justice of God. You will always harvest what you plant. Those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from that sinful nature, but those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. Just keep on.
No, that's good right there. And so even it wasn't in the paperwork, but I know that caught my attention, and that is that God is not mocked. And so, anybody have an idea what that means? God is not mocked. Thoughts? Can't fool him. Some translations actually use that term.
Can't trick him.
You can't trick him. You can't fool him. Okay. You know, we just can't get over him, right? Yes.
Reminded me of the time when the serpent was talking to Eve. He was mocking God because he said, "Is it really true that God said you can't eat from every tree of the garden?" Like he couldn't believe it. Why would God hold something back from you, you know? But God would not be mocked. He made a rule, and because they broke that rule, they had to suffer the consequences.
Yes. And that, yeah. Said it out loud.
I said, "There's those consequences again."
There you go. And so I thought it would be good to bring out the mocking thing. Sometimes we think that we can fool God.
And there's consequences for that.
Yeah.
There is. There's trouble.
Yeah, because that's some other seeds that we're sowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if we're mocking God, then who are we really fooling?
So
Ourselves, yeah. Any comments, thoughts? Go ahead.
Galatians 6, 7, and 8 says, "You will always harvest what you plant. Those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from that sinful nature. But those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit."
Any other thoughts with that?
I was just thinking, if you do, like foul things and corrupt stuff, that's what you're gonna reap. And if you change your ways and start doing better things and planting better seeds, you learn and you grow from that.
What about if I only do good stuff to people and then people still do bad stuff to me?
What are your intentions?
That's a good response. Well, what if I have good intentions that I'm just trying to do good?
You're dealing with the wrong people, maybe.
Maybe it's not personal.
Yeah, maybe it's not personal. Yeah.
Good.
Maybe it's their problem, not
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Maybe they have some
So
learning and growing.
so if they're going to treat me bad, then what should I do, Tommy?
Continue to do the right thing.
Okay, all right.
Don't let it change you.
Well, you guys are getting too sharp around here. What's
Thank
what's
you.
up with that?
Got a good
It's our
teacher.
neuroplasticity.
Okay, Tommy, go ahead.
The law of sowing and reaping can also work for us. God spoke through the prophet Hosea in Hosea 10:12. Plant the good seeds of righteousness.
Wait a minute. I really like that part.
Plant the good seeds of righteousness.
Plant. That's what we're talking about, right? This is
Uh-huh.
Hosea talking about here. So plant the good seed of righteousness. That's kind of like what I was talking about. If I'm doing good and then people are not doing good, I should go ahead and
So
plant.
even though you're not receiving that kindness back, you're still presenting yourself in love.
And we're planting good
That's what
seeds.
the next
Yeah,
line
go ahead.
says. And you will harvest a crop of love.
Okay.
Plow up the hard ground of your hearts.
What does that mean?
Well, the past can kind of, put some garbage in there, So we got to get the garbage out of our heart.
Past can do that,
And the present.
and yes, and maybe it has something to do with our intention.
Yeah, in the
Well,
future.
what does that mean? Our intention about our heart.
Well, our heart knows, what our intentions are better than we do sometimes.
Well, maybe we hardened our heart to try to protect ourselves.
Yeah. As a protection mechanism, I can see that.
And that wall of protection may keep some things out, but it also keeps you isolated too.
Yeah. Keep you not a part of what you're kind of really wanting to be a part of.
And Brene Brown calls that you armor up. Yeah, so if you're armored up, you're hardened pretty hard, right?
Yeah.
And so we're talking about plowing up that hard ground of our heart. Just a thought. Yes, sir.
I think it also just emphasizes how we're working on ourselves.
Yes.
That's the only thing we can do. We cannot determine how other people are going to react to the good seeds we plant. But we can continually work on ourselves and make sure that we're doing these things with the right heart, with the right motives, and the desire to please God, no matter what response we get. So it's just making it internal that shows why we're doing this, because we want to change us on the inside.
Good.
So you just had this vision of like, what's the best way to start breaking up super hard soil? Put water on it. And so the Bible says from the abundance of our heart we speak. It's like free flowing water, right? And so if you just start to be vulnerable and allow yourself to feel, it almost is like the water that came out of the middle of the rock when Moses hit it. And it breaks it up from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
makes it softer.
Yeah.
Maybe it crumbles a little bit, but that's softer than a hard block of stone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, can we start with Hosea? Start at the top of that scripture again.
Plant the good seeds of righteousness, and you will harvest a crop of love.
That sounds like a promise.
Yes. Plow up the hard ground of your hearts, for now is the time to seek the Lord, that he may come and shower righteousness upon you.
Good. Any thoughts?
You're out there planting the good seeds of right here, honesty, humility, forgiveness, responsibility, kindness, obedience, and love.
Good.
Then those are the things that you can expect to be presented to you by God.
You know, something that popped in my head. You know, there are some fruit trees that they don't produce fruit right off the bat. Sometimes they take a year or two. Some take several years, right? So we can plant good seeds, and you know, it may not produce fruit right away, but you're closer to getting fruit now than you were before.
Isn't it I've heard this before, that if you make one wrong choice, you got 10 good choices you gotta make up for that wrong one. I've heard that before. Now,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. Well, yes, you know, it's the weight of your decisions. You know, I think it was, I believe it's tied with Einstein, says that it takes 11 right choices to offset one wrong. And I don't know if that's true or not. But the fact of it is, I think in changing our thought process, if we have a habit or addiction, okay, which that definition of the habit and addiction on there, how they're correlated, that not all habits are addictions, okay, and they use the same circuit in our brain, but whatever we repeatedly do over and over, it gets stronger. Now, a addiction, there is a compulsion, obsession that pushes you and drives you, where you don't have that with a habit. And that basically says all that. In fact, you got the 4 C's here. That's in that information. Now, 4 C's the 4 C's are compulsion, loss of control. This is what addiction is. Loss of control, cravings, and continued behavior despite negative consequences. In other words, you keep doing stuff even though you know you're telling yourself it's going to work out, but you really know that it won't. You know, you keep going deeper and deeper, and it costs you more and more, right?
yeah, and I said that because a lot of times I want instant results. I don't want to just, I don't want to have to sometimes work for it, but I know that once I've planted that seed, whatever seed that I plant, the Lord says I'm gonna harvest. If I plant a good seed, good things will come, but oftentimes it takes time.
Takes time.
It takes time and effort, leaning on God's grace, leaning on the steps, leaning on others, and doing this together, and realizing negative consequences would be a part of it, but yet you keep coming back, it works if I work. And sometimes it takes time.
It does. Yes, it absolutely does take time. It takes practice, and whatever you practice, you get better at it. Now, there has been for a long time the theory that it takes 21 days to establish a habit. But to eliminate a habit, Carolyn Leaf talks about it takes
63 days.
63 days. It takes 3 times as long to eliminate and reestablish a healthy habit. And basically, she says it takes that long to really firm up any kind of habit. But in my mind, if we're trying to correct something, it takes longer. It takes longer to eliminate. I mean, if you're doing a garden, you never ever get done with the weeds, right? You never ever get done with the rocks. But if you don't keep cleaning that out, it gets worse and worse. And I've got a note on my paperwork here is that, when you're mowing the yard, you keep picking up rocks. Why? Well, you say, well, they're just going to be back and there's going to be more back next year, but it makes it better. It doesn't make it perfect.
It made it easier to tell.
Yes. And so we do the good things. We do the right things. We make the next best choice, right choice, healthy choice. And it does take some effort to turn. That many years ago I did. They made a statement about how long it takes to turn a battleship around. It takes a half a day to turn a battleship around. Because you can't do it all at once, and to do it safely. And so it takes a long time to do that. And now not my hard-headed stubbornness, but Tommy's, it takes a little bit, right?
Yeah. I'll own up to that one.
Okay. Go ahead, Tommy.
God says we will always reap what we have sown, even after we have been forgiven. We must deal with the consequences of our actions. It may take time to finish harvesting the negative consequences from our past, but we don't have to let this discourage us.
Any thoughts?
We're gonna live through that stuff because we're growing and we're learning how to live a different life now, and we're gonna know how to maybe have tools to face those past consequences, so that we can navigate through them. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yes. Good. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Making our list of those we have harmed is a step towards planting good seeds. In time, we will see a good crop begin to grow.
Got any thoughts about that?
Yeah. Times change in life sometimes, and we forget those that we have harmed. And we sometimes come to a place in our life where we remember, and we're making, make ourselves available to forgive ourselves and those people, Kind of what I was thinking about, so that there can be positive outcomes.
What if you don't plant any? What did you say? I'm not going to plant any seeds. How's that going to work out for me?
You have no harvest.
Do
You're
I?
not gonna have a harvest. Yeah, you're not gonna have your intentions were messed up on that one.
It's gonna be the same as you are.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get no better.
Robert?
I think we do that sometimes when we isolate ourselves. We get the feeling that we don't want to be around anyone, we don't want to interact with anyone. But that's not helpful, because while we're doing that, we obviously are not on the road to recovery. Therefore, our compulsion is what's going through our brain. We're thinking of ways that we're going to continue those bad habits. So we are still planting seeds, even though we don't realize it. We're just planting bad
There you go.
ones.
So is there a neutral? Is there a neutral spot?
I don't
I don't
think
think
so.
there is either.
Okay. right? So
And
you're
our
either,
goal,
so you're going one way or the other then.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I,
Is it-
well, I think that like, you say, is there a neutral spot? Once you have like that peace that surpasses all this understanding, once you like there, I feel like that's pretty neutral. Because it's not, you're not being driven by emotions. It's just coming from somebody who's always been driven by my own stuff. So maybe that doesn't have anything to do. I was zoning out a little bit and trying to listen in, but you asked, is there a neutral? I feel like it feels neutral, you know, to where like you don't have a response whenever people react, or you don't have a reaction when people react to things. You know, you can stay level headed and you're not mirroring one another or bouncing off of each other's energy anymore. I feel like
And
there is a grounded.
so you're
energy.
saying, that you don't bounce off, I'm not saying, talking about you, but we're talking about a neutral here. A neutral person, doesn't bounce off, but what do they have to do to maintain that?
A lot of inner work.
And is that neutral? Okay.
No, it's not.
So I'm saying it's a choice to walk in peace, to be in peace. It's not, it's less suffering. I agree with that. But it's still a choice. And I know, I'm sure that you have as other of us that, you know, we had to deal with the thought that it was, this peace is really being complacency. You're not doing anything, but actually that place is a lot of work to get to and to be, because you have to change some things. So we're either going, in my opinion, we're either going one way or the other. And peace is you know, Jude says, you know, let the peace of God rule. And to maintain that peace,
You have to fight that guilt.
you have to make choices and keep choosing where you want to go. And hopefully it's a healthy, lined up with truth. Of course, truth is God. Anything else?
well, I was thinking, you know, if I personally, as I grow and I decrease the anger and dishonesty and selfishness, resentment, and irresponsibility, and replace that with the honesty, humility, forgiveness, responsibility, kindness, obedience, and love, I see a change in my life, and I also see a change in people's lives around me. You know, some people that are close to me. You know,
And we want to be sure that we say you may not be able to do all those things at once.
no, you can't. I don't.
It's
It's a process that I've worked
it's a
And
little
still
bit,
working
little
through.
bit, you know, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit of all of them or a little bit of some of them, but it's turning the battleship around,
Yeah.
you know. And the trouble is, the battleship wants it's got momentum and it wants to go the way that it's been going,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about making bad choices, you
Yeah.
know, or maybe even being obsessive, compulsive, addicted, driven. You know, those things want to drive us in a different direction. But if we're using intention here a lot tonight, but if we have the intention that I don't want to be that way, I want to be this way, and if we keep that intention continually, even though it may slip off, we keep pulling back to it, we'll get better. So what did you learn from this lesson tonight?
I learned that my choices can cause battles for me in life. And then it depends on how I choose to fight those battles.
That's good.
Uh-huh.
And those choices can be good choices or bad choices.
Or bad choices, yeah.
Okay.
Still to this day.
And sometimes there's even battles when we make good choices, right?
Yes. Oh,
And
yeah.
sometimes it's the inner battle that's the biggest one.
Yes. I agree with that 100%.
And so, what's your takeaway tonight?
To start looking at me and realizing that there's still stuff there that needs to be like revealed within myself so that I can make my list, you know?
Yeah. Become
Become more aware.
and,
Yeah.
and,
Because sometimes time you don't remember everything, you know?
and also we hide, stuff from ourselves.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Carl Jung, I don't know if I can say it exactly correct. He says, if we don't make the unconscious conscious, then we're going to, um, it'll cause things to happen in our life, paraphrasing, and we'll say it's fate.
Yes.
So if we don't get clarity on that stuff that's driving us, we're just going to say, well, there's nothing I can do about it. You know, that's the way it happens. You know, it's just, you know, that's just life. So, but if we can get conscious aware, like you were talking about there,
yeah.
then we can begin to not be in that passive state.
It's a good place to get out of.
Comments from anyone? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate it. Brandon, he's got all notebooks and paperwork and all kinds of stuff. He's ready to go.
Thanks, How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
I'll just start the one on the book.
Yeah.
First.
Sure.
All right. Okay. First question is what crop did I sow while practicing my addiction?
And for people out in internet land, we have a workbook and we have reflection questions out of that workbook, and that's what Brandon's doing here. And this is the life recovery workbook. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. But for me, when I was practicing my addiction, the crop was only, not good living. I mean, unrighteousness, foolishness, making life difficult for myself by self-medicating, going to my addiction, knowing it was just bringing nothing but negative results, negative consequences, and so nothing good. Making life difficult for myself, trying to make life better when actually just I was only making it worse, and so nothing good really at all. Maybe pleasure for the moment, but just living a foolish life, really, not following God, living in fear, doing, just making life more difficult for myself, just unravel even more things in my mind. And if I was running from my fears or just a sense of irresponsibility, not wanting to accept life on life's terms, wanting to still want to run the show. So
That's good.
Nothing good, Doug, for sure.
What about you? You don't have to answer this out there, but what crop did you sow while you was practicing your addictions or addiction?
Mayhem. Mistrust.
Separation from others.
Yes, sir.
I didn't care what crop I was sowing.
I didn't even know I was in the crop.
I didn't want to think about what consequences might be there. All I was concerned about is what was facing me at that moment, in that instant when I was practicing my addiction. But later on, the truth of you reap what you sow really came out, you know, and so.
Good.
But that's something I wish I would have thought about. Although I don't think it would have changed, because even after I suffered many consequences, I went right back over and over.
Do you think that had something to do with self-deception? Being deceived?
Is the Pope Catholic? Of course it did, yeah, but
I think most of them are. I'm not
yeah.
sure. Chris, you want to expound on what you said?
I said overindulgence, I guess, just.
Oh, you said you didn't even know that there was.
Oh, yeah, that too. I didn't even know I was sowing anything.
Didn't know you was creating a crop
Right,
of something.
yeah, especially something not good.
Yeah.
So it was probably
You-
later.
Do you think that's a common thing that we don't realize we're creating a crop?
Probably.
It's focused on us, and that's it. All we have on our minds is, like Robert was saying, just nothing but pleasure at the moment, and worry about the consequences later.
So both
There's no-
of those comments kind of tied together then. Good, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you, Robert. Go ahead, number 2.
Okay, it says, describe the correlation between healthy living and acceptance of the consequences for my addiction and behavior. Says, I think healthy living is doing the, taking a sense of responsibility, making right choices, getting recovery. Describe the correlation between healthy living and acceptance. Continuing on in that life of healthy living, even realizing that I still may have negative consequences to deal with, in spite of that addiction or whatever, hurt, habit, hang up, or whatever that I dealt with at that time. But I've got to be willing to accept that my consequences had, or the choices that I made. I've got to keep doing the right thing, even in spite.
Any thoughts from anyone? You were creating a lot of different thoughts for me in there, and tied with the other question that we live unconscious a lot of the times, and people that look at us, they can see it, even if they're doing the same thing. Does that make sense? And but we don't. We just live unconscious about a lot of things. So, and then my next thought was there's a lot in there, but the next thing is there, the question goes to us, you. Are there things that we're still living unconscious about? That's just thought question.
What was the question again?
Are there still things that we're living unconscious about?
if we were conscious about it, we'd be able to say, I'm aware. So,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not conscious of any.
But the first step is being aware that there may be some there. Right?
that's willingness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And humility.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that, Brandon? Well, I sent him some of the discussion questions, which is on the page of information that I gave back there for you, and so that's on the top of page number 2 in the back. And so I asked him if he would mind reading those.
Okay, well, question 1 is, what does let's see, what does "you will always harvest what you plant" mean in my life? I believe that it means that the choices that I have in my life, whether good or bad, will determine the kind of life that I will end up harvesting or becoming. So if I sow good things will happen. So bad, I expect bad things to come forward.
Any comments from anyone? Yes, Robert?
I've had both harvests, good and bad. The bad are getting fewer and fewer.
Thank you, Jesus.
But it's so exciting to get a good harvest. It really is, because when we're deep in our addiction, that doesn't come often. A good harvest is hard to find. But when we really change inside and start planning differently, good things happen. It really does. God blesses our effort. So don't give up.
Good. Good save. Good. Anyone else? Go ahead. Number 2.
Okay. Says, what are some seeds I have planted in the past that have
Thank you.
produced painful consequences for myself or others? I've actually, planted seeds or planted seeds to my addiction, which, addiction to methamphetamine and all the other drugs that I chose to do, in spite of the foolishness that was behind it, hypocrisy and all the things that I was doing, or in spite of, how to say this right, but knowing the negative consequences that it was making me, which addiction, as we know, will control us and will cause us to do things that will bring us negative consequences, but we continue to do it because it controls us, and we don't want to. Sometimes stopping means rehabs or jails, or could mean for some it's been thankfully by the grace of God, and very thankful that it hasn't brought death, and all by the grace of the Lord. But
And that death can come. It wasn't too long ago, a few years ago, a friend of mine he was just going to do it one more time. And he did it only one more time. Because he died. And So we don't know, right? And we have people, hopefully, you know, I've said this for years, we have people out of this meeting that die every year. You know, hopefully we don't this year, hopefully. But we always have, you know, and, or related to this meeting, used to be in this meeting, so.
And well, and I also have to add to that is not, you know, we talk about coming out of addiction and getting sobriety. And sobriety, I've got to get some. I mean, sobriety is a good thing, but then you talked about recovery,
Right.
as well, and allowing that change to become inside of me, and I've got to do it even when it gets hard at times, and sometimes I've ran from fears. I still at times isolate, like you said, Robert. There's times where I want to run to that isolation, or when I get around people, I still have that tendency to want to run and hide, and I don't want to deal with what the opinions of others. But then I know that is part of change, Doug, is facing like the serenity prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard one. It's a hard one at times, but with God's help, it becomes. And sometimes I've made some really not good choices, and I think I've had some of the worst experiences because of those choices, and sometimes I'm at a point where I feel like where my testimony is, but I don't want to feel I've got to forgive myself for that. I just heard somebody talk about the past and about forgiving yourself, because I mean, we've got this past has really been something that's been bothering me here lately, big time. And so I've got to forgive myself for what I've done, and realize that others, I've got to take, I mean, my recovery is what I need. Recovery, and not, the word of God is the answer. But I know the steps and working with the sponsor and working with others in here is also something I have to do as well. So
Yeah,
we need to focus on more. Just a side note there.
thank you, I appreciate that. You wanna go to the next one?
Yep. Okay, says, what is the difference between feeling guilty about the past and taking responsibility for the harm that I have caused? Like I was saying, this has kind of been one that I've dealt with, is kind of the past. And I know that's just the enemy trying to bring up my past, but feeling guilty about the past, I think, is normally normal. It makes us feel guilty so that we can do something about it, whether it says, what is the difference between feeling guilty about the past and taking responsibility for the harm that I have caused? I think feeling guilty is the normal thing, because it shows me that there is something wrong in my life, but I've got to realize that I've got to take responsibility and to make right with those ones that I've wronged, especially my wife back there, lost trust in different areas, different things, and she's been nothing but just good, patient. She's been, and it's I'm very thankful still have her, and just my parents, and knowing that my mom passed away here this November, or this last November. And there was a lot of things that I got to talk to her a little bit before she died, and knowing of some of the things that I've done is I can't make right, but yet I've got to realize that making it right with her in that moment made things, and I've still got some issues with my brother, and we never do talk. But over time, I think it'll get better over time. So thank the Lord for, and my dad, me and him have pretty good relationship, and so I'm thankful for that. So.
Robert had his hand up.
I think I've struggled with feeling guilty too. But I think the best thing we can do is start planting good seeds. The more we do that, the more we'll let go of our guilt and see that we've got to make amends. We can't just feel the guilt. We've got to do what we can to heal. And if there's other people involved in that guilt, it's not just ourselves, then the fact that we're planting good will help us see that. And it will motivate us to be willing and then do it and then make amends.
Good. This, anybody else have anything they want to say on this? Because this is a really good question here.
I was just gonna say, like, one thing that really helped me through a lot of like this healing stuff is realizing that it was never my divine inheritance or God's will for me to stay in guilt, because guilt and shame, they're so close together. And I think shame is just prolonged guilt. Guilt is supposed to be an indicator that you spend a moment in before you transition into a better life. And just realizing that, like, it's not God making me feel guilty. I feel guilty, thank God, because if I didn't feel guilty, I wouldn't know what to change. But at the same time, like, it is not his will for us to stay there or to continue that. And just to, always keep in mind that, like, God is pure love, all mercy, and all grace. Those are his aspects. 1 Corinthians 13 is the definition of the character of God. And so coming into alignment with understanding that helped me also see who I am. If we're all made in his image, then that's what he wants for me, to be love, to be abundance, to be these other things, not to be guilt, not to be shame, and that's, I really think that like is where we feel a separation or disconnect when, we're never really disconnected from him. But that's what helped me really shift my mindset and also get out of those people pleasing patterns, those codependency patterns, because a lot that was driving that was that guilt or shame or separation feeling, and help me value myself and actually align with what God says about me. That I'm his beloved and that we are unique and that he loves us and, all those things.
Good. Good. Anyone else? The reason why I said this is really important, and we're this is all good information, but it says the difference between the feeling of guilt and responsibility, taking responsibility. So, at least in my mind, this is how I see it, and we're talking around it here, but yes, guilt is to help us to know that we've done something wrong, but we're not supposed to stay there. Now, you said that, and this is helping us to recognize a tool here of how we move ourselves from guilt. How we move from guilt so that we can go on is the tool of responsibility. Yes, I did that. That's what I did. That's not who I am, but that's what I did. I did that. And that's not the way I want to be. I'm taking responsibility of for what I did. I'm not, and that's helping us try to make a transition from recognizing the guilt to where we want to go. Does that make sense? That's how I see it. Is that helpful, Annie? And so, and if we can recognize that, then that gives us a way. And you said plant seeds, and the reason why we're planting seeds is because we recognize that we want to deal. We want to deal with the issue that we were guilty over, and we want to create other things in our life. But to do that, we have to take responsibility. We can't hide, we can't avoid, we can't deny, we can't ignore, we can't do all those things. We have to just, yes, that's what I did. Whether I did it accidentally or on purpose, whether I was conscious about it or if I did it unconsciously, yes, that's what I did. Those are my thoughts. Comments? Okay, go next one.
Good. Question 4 says, what does becoming willing to make amends mean to me, and what might keep me from doing so? I think it just makes me come to realize the personal responsibility for my actions and the harm that I caused to others, to myself, and to others. And I think that what could keep me from realizing, like I said, with my brother, I'm thinking there's still that fear of rejection, or that fear of. So I mean, we still talk, not very often, but I still feel there's some things that I still need to make right with him, and
And we call that healing, right? That's healing.
Yep. So I feel a sense of rejection, but that would be the only thing. I'm definitely willing to make that right with him, because I know I'm definitely, I take responsibility for it, because I know I've done wrong, and not just to.
Well, we're not in control of what he does. We're only in control of what we do. Right? All we can do is do our part. It's up to them what they do. Let's go to the last one.
Okay, it says what one good seed can I begin planting today that could produce a different harvest in my future? I said first of all, thinking less of myself and thinking of others but I think it's commitment to do the right thing. Just continuing on in that, even when at first I don't see results, because there's been and focusing on my goals. Focus. If that's a good seed, but I mean, it's a good seed. Commitment to responsibility, doing the right thing.
Good. Yes, Robert.
A good seed that I started a couple of years ago was I was going to commit to come to as many Saturday night live meetings as I possibly could. And I really tried to honor that commitment, because I can't tell you how much these discussions here have helped me. And I believe if people come, or they tune in and take it serious and really try to get the point of what we're talking about, it can change your life. It really can, and you just have to work it.
Thank you. That's good, and I appreciate it. I'm glad you're here. Glad you made that commitment. And
but I won't be here next week.
Okay, and again, we haven't talked about it, but on September the 5th, we won't be having a meeting. That's in a couple of weeks.
Labor Day,
So
Labor Day.
Labor Day, yeah, it's Labor Day weekend, so thought I'd go ahead and mention that again since you brought it to my mind there, so. Okay, any other thoughts from anyone?
Be patient.
That would be a good seed, right?
Give yourself grace.
That would be a good seed.
For sure.
I think we're way harder on ourselves than God is.
I believe
I
that.
think it's absolutely we're the worst whenever it comes to that.
I believe that. Yeah, we make a lot of rules for ourselves. The intention is good because we want to do right and be right, but the fact of it is we put more weight on us than God had intended for us to have. He said, my burden, it's easy, it's light, and we try to make everything hard.
It's funny, I was sitting there thinking one day, the Bible says, be ye perfect like your Father in heaven is perfect. And I've always heard said, oh, you can't be perfect. Perfection doesn't exist and all this stuff. And, like we're always sinners and we sin every day. And then I've gotten this habit of asking myself, like, did I sin today? I went to work. I woke up, brushed my teeth, and I went through a list of everything I did. I'm like, I didn't sin today. And it was really gross at first, thinking like that. But I'm like, I've gone all these days without sinning, and it can't just be because I exist that I'm sinning like that, but that helped. That really, really helped me get out of that shame spiral.
Good.
That I was
That's
in.
good. It's good. I'd like to add though on that scripture, be perfect as I am perfect. Actually, if you look in the original, it's mature. Work on being mature. Taking responsibility is a sign of maturity. Planting good seeds is a sign of maturity. Being mature. And spiritually grow. And that's what hopefully that's what we're trying to do around here. So, Louisa, you had your hand up a while ago. Did you want to say something?
Jesus coming for his son. That's what we can say.
All right. Thank you. Anything else? So what did you learn from this lesson?
Just gotta be willing to keep going, planting good seeds. Just keep planting good seeds, and the harvest will come. Allow God to, through His grace, through these steps, and through others, to allow Him to change my heart.
Good. And your takeaway?
Keep coming back. Keep being faithful.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Next week, August 22nd, Willie will be doing the step, Lori will be doing the reflection, and it's unintentional sin, which you touched a little bit on that a while ago, I think, just lightly. Leviticus 4, 1 through 28. So, all right. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you and give you His peace.
Amen.
Amen. Make healthy choices. And we'll see all of you next week.